Hey, what's up guys? Little man with a big opinion here. Today's video is kind of covering the news, but it's also just good information to have. It starts with me reading an article, then not being able to find it, and then finding one that's slightly older, actually about a year and a half older. And, reading both of the articles, they basically say the same thing. The first one is from Fox Business, January 29th, 2023. And there was a commission put together that determined if the United States were to go to war with China over Taiwan, that a majority of our weapon systems would be out of ammunition within a week. And ship-to-ship missiles could be out even within the first few days. The article that I read today that came out a couple of days ago basically said the same thing. It said if the U.S. were to go to war with China or Russia, their major munition systems would be out of ammunition within the first 3 to 4 weeks. So over the course of a year, our military received some criticism, and it took basically a year and a half to up it from a week to about a month. And what the second article goes into is it also shows that our capacity to manufacture those munitions can not keep up with the demand if we were to have some sort of major conflict. One of the analogies that they used, and they also talked about NATO in general, was Russia in 3 days of fighting used as much munitions as all of the UK has stockpiled. The only country that they said that was consistently increasing their stockpiles and increasing their production was Poland. But Poland also went through German occupation and then a Russian occupation, so they feel pretty strongly about not getting the short end of the stick in whatever the next conflict is going to be. So, now that we got that out of the way, if you like the news videos, hit the like button. If you like what we're doing with the channel, hit the subscribe button. And lastly, share the videos with your friends and families because it definitely helps spread the message. But the second part of this video, which I feel like every prepping channel makes one of these videos at least once a year, and half of them say the same thing. I think my channel's got at least two, but it's talking about ammo and how much you should have, and a little bit into the firearms and kind of that mindset, because reading those articles, it's public knowledge. You can look at the commission, and Congress paid the money to basically tell us a problem and also tell us how we can fix it. So if it's public knowledge for us, that also means some intelligent officer in basically every other country in the world, whether we consider them an ally or not, also knows the same problem. I am not going to rely on a federal government, a state government, a local government to try and protect myself and my family. So, the first thing is the handgun that I carry every single day. I don't get to go out and practice anywhere near as much as I would like to, but That being said, it's a 9mm, and now it is empty. I think these are the SIG defense rounds, but we try to do a really good job within our household, within the family, within the mag, and different people that are there to support each other, to keep similar calibers. My brother said I should get a SIG. I've got 3 of the 17 round magazines and a couple of the 12 round, and the handgun that my brother has can use the same magazines, use the same ammunition. My wife has a different handgun, but it also uses the same ammunition. So at a bare bones minimum, you need to be able to fill every magazine that you have. Bare bones. And this is for your handguns, your rifles, any of the different things that you have. And then for the handguns, I recommend at least 500 rounds of a handgun ammunition. It is a secondary for a reason. I'm also an American, and I say once you hit the 500, don't stop there. You could have 70 magazines and tens of thousands of rounds of ammunition. I think you do need to set up some sort of balance between I'd say once you hit 10 magazines and that 500 rounds of ammunition, then you should look at, getting replacement parts. What is the first thing on your sidearm that is going to fail first? Or, after a certain thousands of rounds, what's going to get worn out should probably get replaced. You can take it even further you've got the 10 magazines and you've got the ammunition set aside, pick up another sidearm. Don't just limit yourself to the one. Other than 9mm, people are going to make the argument for 45 ACP. I would also make the argument for a pistol chambered in 22. I would also make the argument of having a pistol caliber carbine. It'd be nice to have one that used the same magazines, but it doesn't have to. Then moving into your main rifle, basically everyone says you should have an AR. There's a pretty good argument for an AK, or get something, practice with it, stock up ammo for it. Me and my brother both got a Mosin Nagant. Actually, four of my friends each have a Mosin Nagant. And so at one point, we picked up, one of the big span cans, 440 rounds. This one was made in '86, but it just kind of sits here. And we all know that if things got really rough, we have about 100 rounds for each of the 4 of us. Just it sits on a shelf. That doesn't include the, we go to the store, we'll pick up a box of 20 that, specific for our rifle. So we're probably well into the, I wouldn't say thousands, but there's at least a comma in the amount of 7.62 by 54R that is available to us. But let's say your main rifle is going to be an AR. Another argument that I've seen a lot of channels talking about is the difference between doing more of like a assault style build and more of a sustainment style build. The plate carry that I have has 3 magazines on it. I recently purchased another piece of molly that I can carry 2 more magazines with me. Haven't quite figured out where I want to put it, but that brings it up to, well, it's 3 plus the 1 in the gun, so now we're up to 6 magazines. I keep it loaded with a combat loadout, the green tip stuff. But I'm a firm believer in, if you're preparing for something, you really shouldn't be preparing for a sustained firefight. Your best chances for success are either going to be breaking contact and engaging on your terms, or setting up a ambush or even a hasty ambush. Kind of insurgency, guerrilla style warfare, more on the defense than the offense. And that's mostly because any group that you're going to be in, there's a good possibility that your occupation for, warfare is a secondary things you learned on your own and, through YouTube. Or if you do have any prior military experience, you also know that those kind of guys weren't just, they're 12-man team and they're gonna, be kicking in the doors, being, Billy Badasses. They had probably another half dozen guys on the intelligence side. They probably had another team doing recon. They had someone that brought them in and is also on standby to bring them out. They have other teams in the area that can be, QRF or assist them. So that 12-man group or platoon-sized group probably had another 3 platoons worth of assets available to help them out before, during, and after. So, decide what you want to carry, whether it's going to be, the 3+1 magazines. I don't think it needs to be more than 6, because that kind of defeats the purpose. That being said, if you're going to carry 6, then you should have a secondary set of 6 that are loaded and ready to go. That way, let's say you did that hasty ambush and you took out, no cat, and you took out 70% of their team, and you retreated back to, a base of operations, Bob, whatever you want to call it, and you're pretty certain that they're not going to have any more help anytime soon, or you just want to clean up what you started. You can immediately get back to where you were at and be up and ready to go in 5 minutes. And then you've got another 6 that are just spare. So I would say 12 magazines, the standard 30 round. If you want to have 40 rounders, that's fine. If you're going to carry, the 20 rounds, I think that's okay. And if you have to buy the 10 round because that's where you live, then you should contemplate moving away from that area. You don't have to worry about doing drum or anything fancy like that. Another thing that you should probably think about is everyone in your team running the same system. Because let's say you have 4 guys and you each have 3 magazines, and one person was laying down a screen and you accomplished your first task, and one person was just, security, they can pass you over a magazine. I would also say, you know, try not to get too off topic, but this isn't going to be like the game where you drop the magazine and you know you magically have more later on. I would definitely work on drills where you are reloading and that magazine goes into a dump pouch, or you hold on to it while you reload a fresh magazine and then you replace it somewhere on your kit. But you're not going to want to just drop it and move on, especially if you're like me and you're on a budget and you're purchasing one magazine a month or one magazine every other month because you're diversifying your preps within other things. So, main rifle, I would like to say the 500 as well, but I also think a good goal is just that nice round even 1,000 number. If you're only carrying 3 magazines plus one, you're carrying 120 rounds. Let's say hypothetically, every engagement you get in, you're blowing through all 4 of those magazines. The 1,000 rounds isn't going. It's gonna last you like 9 engagements, 8.5, whatever the math is. Um, so hit the 1,000. If you haven't hit it for your sidearm, then hit that 500, and then you know reassess the rest of your preps. If you are going to work with more than one caliber, I definitely hit the 1,000 for each of those. Um, so 223, 556, you hit your 1,000, then you got something with a bit more oomph, you know, 30-6, 308, something like that. Hit your 1,000 as well. And the one exception to this is 22. Now, I set my 22 goal at 10,000 rounds when I was 18 or 19. And I think I hit that when I was 20. But that's also when you could buy a 50 round box for $2.99 or 500 for $19.99. Those days don't exist anymore. Uh, and it's also, where if you have a pistol, I kind of already mentioned it, having some sort of carbine rifle, definitely helps. A really simple solution is you've got your AR and you also get the 22 conversion for it. That way it can shoot the 22 ammo. It's just changing out the bolt. Good stuff. Once you hit that, again with your rifle, you should be buying extra parts. Like one of the first things I bought for my AR was a second bolt carrier group. It's nothing fancy. It is, the most basic bolt that you can get. Pick up a few extra pins. Pick up, another really important thing is your buffer spring, uh, because it can get worn out pretty quickly, especially if you're shooting a lot. Um, don't just rely on some sort of optic. Also have the backup iron sights as well. And you don't have to stop at one AR. You can get, 2, 3. You can kind of start to think about, having something for other, people in your group, whether it's friends, family. We say we're gonna say no to helping out other people, But if you're 3 people and you've got 25 guns, and the situation gets dicey enough, you can only wield so many of those at once. But save that for another video. It's not really pertaining to this. The meat and potatoes of this is, even if this report didn't come out, you should still be thinking about taking care of yourself on your own. I think that's a big part of prepping. And security is, definitely one of the top 10 things within prepping. A lot of people tend to get hyper focused on the guns and ammo part and skip out on the food, water, and medical. So, don't just throw everything into, well, I've got an AR with 10,000 rounds and I'm going to fight my way through everyone. It'd be a lot nicer to say you've got 10,000 rounds of AR ammo and you're sitting in your house waiting out the first 2 or 3 weeks of a major problem for things to simmer down, instead of having to put yourself in a situation of, I'm hungry or my family's hungry and I have to do something about it. It's a lot nicer to just sit within your castle. It doesn't have to be a real castle, but sitting back and relaxing instead of putting yourself in a situation. But I've ranted on long enough. I'm gonna get my stuff put away and probably recount ammo again. Really should make a spreadsheet. But if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you like what we're doing with the channel, hit the subscribe button and share it with your friends and family. They might learn something too. And with that, catch you in the next one.